Baiting is a nice way to trick your opponent into thinking they can do something that they can't and overexert themselves. It's a very good way to set up kills, especially early game ganks, where you pretend to overexert yourself and be in a bad position. Have your opponent think like, oh, this is an opportunity I can get. And then they go for it, and suddenly your jungler comes out of the bush and kills them. The trick to a good bait is to make the opponent feel like he's being smart. If you have 25% HP and your opponent is full, and you suddenly just walk over to your opponent, if they're a good player, they'll recognize it's an obvious bait. Although the lower the rank, the more likely that is to work. But if you want to set up a good bait, think about how smart they are and how much into the game they read. If they're a very new player, maybe doing that 25% HP walk up to them and start attacking even when they're full health will work. But if they're a little bit smarter, they won't fall for that and they'll just run away. If your opponent is good, they'll probably look at the mini-map and see like, I have no idea where the jungler is. There's a good chance they could be in this bush right there. And then use that to read into your actions and say like, maybe he's only playing like this because he has a jungler there. What you want to do is get yourself into a slightly bad position where your opponent should really be able to win without making it too obvious. If you're a ranged champion against a melee champion who can easily kill you if they close the gap, accidentally let them close the gap a little bit. Or if you're a melee champion who's constantly getting punished by a ranged champion, try to overexert yourself for that cannon minion and they'll be like, oh, I'll kill him when he goes for that cannon minion, easy. As for recognizing a bait, a very common one I see people do is when they're low HP and they know they can be towered of, they just, for whatever reason, stay at the tower. In a few cases, they'll actually just be greedy and want to farm, and you can actually tower dive them. But in most cases, more so rather than not, their jungler is like waiting very nearby, somewhere just out of sight. If you're a Malphite and you have your ult up and your opponent has 500 health and they, for whatever reason, choose to stay in lane knowing very well that you can dive them, go take the time to like check the nearby bushes. And then if everywhere is open, you can feel free to go for the dive, but otherwise I would hold back. An easy way to bait that doesn't involve junglers is like baiting with Shen ult, or baiting with Twisted Fate ult, Pantheon ult, any global really, or semi-global, even TP, or Soraka ult. You just coordinate with your team, maybe you're in like a curse voice or Skype call with them, and you tell them, hey, I'm gonna do this, be ready to ult me, or be ready to jump in. It's probably the easiest way, because most people don't read into that, even in high elo. They don't think, I can probably win this trade, but Twisted Fate would come in and ult me halfway through. If you're worried about falling for a bait, just evaluate like all the possible ways you could be killed by someone other than your opponent. If the jungler's been missing and he hasn't been seen anywhere on the map for a while, be wary of that, use that to read into your opponent's actions and think about why they're doing that. If someone has a TP and you see your opponent suddenly put a ward in the middle of the lane, they're probably trying to set up for a gank, be wary of that. If there's a Twisted Fate or a Pantheon, just know that at any point that circle or that little eye above your head can appear and you'll get stunned. So if there's a Twisted Fate or a Pantheon on the enemy team, wait for them to like actually be on the map engaging in combat or farming with someone. The moment you see them missing, play back. Pay attention to the minimap like as often as you can without losing too much focus on the main game. Some champions that are really good at baiting are the ones who have easy to set up CCs. In the realm of top lane, Malphite's probably one of the best because he's got such a long range CC that lasts for a good amount of time. Very easy to set it up. If you're going against the Malphite, even if you have all of your bushes warded, all the entrances into your lane warded, by the time you see the enemy jungler like walk into the bush range or walk into your ward range, the Malphite can just ult you, slow you down, and then the enemy jungler will catch up by the time you can escape. But in general, people with CC, the longer range and the longer lasting, the better. And targeted CC is good too. Those champions set up baits and ganks much better.